the way that I usually define trust in the beginning of my workshops or my training or coaching is that it's an emotion just like happiness or love, and it's reciprocal. So if I break down my own barriers and I'm projecting to you a sense of vulnerability and openness, you're going to want to give that back to me. Same thing with trust is if I go to that place where I'm putting my trust in you, then now you have this, because of our hormonal neurotransmitters, the oxytocin that's released, you actually have a sense of desire to give that trust back to me. So the reason that's also exactly the reason why I think it's so connected to diversity and inclusion and equality is I want to give others equality and appreciate them as a unique person because I want them to do that same thing for me. So often if you see an organization that's full of old white guys, they're just projecting their own insecurities, and it's kind of sad. I almost want to pity them that they're that closed, that they're not able to see that they do matter, that they do have a unique contribution to make, and that they should be valuing other people the same way. Instead of getting like their sense of belonging is obviously very closed off. And that's kind of sad to me.
It is sad, and I think you're speaking some truth here, because that unwillingness to be open to many of the things that people have been talking about for forever, it looks like, but even more recently, it does beg the question of, are you projecting a sense of confidence and trusting yourself? And I think you talked about that. Trusting yourself is as important as trusting others. And sometimes when they're not trusting themselves and not trusting others, what the end product is projecting insecurity. And that's not good for business. That's not good for anything. And so, if that's how you really feel, let's be transparent about that. Because one of the things I've learned in my work with people, there is a kind of insecurity or a vulnerability, right? And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel not where people want it. It's a certain discomfort that comes with it, right? But part of building trust is being okay with that vulnerability, because that's normal too, right? It's not knowing the answers. It's not knowing exactly where things are going. And you know what? It is scary, because this is a new frontier many of us are actually going into. But I think if you're willing to demonstrate a willingness to be vulnerable with something maybe you feel some insecurity about, then if people are like, you know what, I trust that more than someone who's trying to pretend and project false confidence or trying to say you should trust me when you haven't demonstrated anything that I should actually trust, because you're doing things that actually sabotage my success. And when I think about trust, it's about that, are you doing things that get in the way of my well-being? And if you're doing that actively, there's no way I can trust you under those circumstances.